What's up, Facebook? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. What's going on? It's your boy Trey Larkins with Wise Guys Sports. Everybody going to follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys on Instagram at These Guys Know Sports. I'm going to recap the Pacers Game 6 win over the Knicks here shortly. But before I get into the Eastern Conference Finals recap, I want to make sure to let everyone know tomorrow, June the 2nd, Park Place, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. is the Not Boxed In podcast with myself and Melvin Levitt. That's Cincinnati Bearcats legend Melvin Levitt. We will be at Park Place in Forest Park tomorrow and each and every Monday following tomorrow at Park Place, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., discussing all the latest in sports news. So the Not Boxed In podcast with myself and Melvin Levitt discussing all the latest in sports news. Hold on real quick. Yeah, so me and Melvin will be at Park Place each and every Monday starting tomorrow, discussing the latest in sports news. Going to definitely be previewing the NBA Finals matchup between the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. That series will begin Thursday in OKC, Game 1 on ABC. But I want to come on here and recap the Pacers Game 6 clinching win over the New York Knicks last night in the Eastern Conference Finals as the Indiana Pacers beat the New York Knicks 125-108 in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. For the Pacers, Pascal Siakam, he had 31 points, shot 10 of 18 from the floor, 5 rebounds. He was named the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Tyrese Haliburton had 21 points, 13 assists. And for the Knicks, Karl-Anthony Towns finished with 22 points. Pacers win series 4-2. The Pacers, it's their first NBA Finals appearance in 25 years. So for me, as I watched Game 6 last night in Indy, I felt like in the first half, the Knicks competed and they had the tempo at their pace. At halftime, the Pacers led 59-55, and I was feeling like, hey, the Knicks have this game right where they want it. They have an opportunity to win this game and get this series back to New York for a Game 7. And I thought in the first half, the Pacers, they played, I would say, decent. They didn't play great as they did in Game 4, but they didn't play as bad as they did in Game 3 that they lost. Remember, in the second half of Game 3, the Pacers only scored 42 points in the second half. In Game 4, the Pacers had 43 points in the first quarter. I thought in the first half, in Game 6, I thought the Knicks had contained the Pacers for the most part, and they kept the game within striking distance. And I'm thinking to myself, like, hey, if the Knicks can keep this up in the second half, you get this game to the fourth quarter, and you allow your closer and Jalen Brunson to bring you home. And honestly, if the Knicks would have won last night in Indy in Game 6, I would have favored the Knicks in a Game 7 back in New York. There is no way in hell I believe the Knicks would have lost a Game 7 at Madison Square Garden with an NBA Finals berth on the line. But in the second half, I thought the Pacers, they outplayed the Knicks, specifically in that third quarter. In the third quarter, the Pacers outscored the Knicks 34-23. the Pacers were at plus 11 in point differential. The Pacers had 15 fast break points in the third quarter, and the Pacers had 14 points off turnovers in the third quarter. And that was the biggest difference in the game. When you look at the game in its totality, the Knicks had 17 turnovers. The Pacers had 34 points off turnovers. And that was a key stat in the game. And not only in game 6, but throughout the entire series. And I'll get to those stats here in a bit. But the Knicks had 17 turnovers for the game. The Pacers had 34 points off of Knicks turnovers, which is a huge stat. The Pacers outscored the Knicks 25-10 in fast break points. The Pacers outscored the Knicks 38-20 in bench points. And coming off the bench for the Pacers, Obi Toppin had 18 points, shot 7 of 11 from the field. Thomas Bryant was a key contributor for the Pacers, 11 points, shot 3 of 4 from three-point range. And so I thought the entire series, the Pacers bench outplayed the Knicks bench, and that was another key factor in why the Pacers beat the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I thought, specifically in Game 6, I thought Tyrese Haliburton distributed the basketball extremely well, a true point guard. I thought Tyrese Haliburton had one of his best playoff series of his career, and I was surprised Haliburton didn't win Eastern Conference Finals MVP. And I noticed a video online where everybody is showing Tyrese Haliburton when they announced Eastern Conference Finals MVP. It was a video showing that Haliburton had stepped forward because he thought he had won ECF MVP, but it ended up going to Pascal Siakam. And I believe in 3 of the 4 games for the Pacers, Pascal Siakam had 30 points or more in 3 of the 4 wins for the Pacers. And I think it's specifically in games 2, 4, and 6. And I think he had even in game 5, I think he had a pretty decent game as well. And remember, Haliburton had a bad game 5. But I thought Haliburton should have won Eastern Conference Finals MVP because of his all-around play. But I do believe that Pascal Siakam is their best scorer. I think Haliburton obviously is their playmaker, but I think Siakam is their best overall scorer who can score at many different levels on the floor when he's being efficient and effective for the Pacers. But also, I thought Andrew Nembhard, he did a great job defensively on Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson only had 18 points. He shot 8 of 18 from the floor. Nembhard did a tremendous job from a defensive standpoint on Jalen Brunson, and I thought he contained Jalen Brunson in Game 6. Brunson didn't have his normal 30-point performance, and that's because Nembhard, from a defensive standpoint, his defensive intensity really, really contained and frustrated Brunson all game long. So let's give a big shout out to Nembhard. It wasn't just Haliburton and Siakam from a scoring standpoint that helped the Pacers win this game. It wasn't just Obi Toppin and Bryant off the bench who helped them win this game. It was also Andrew Nembhard, who had a tremendous defensive performance in Game 6. But for me, honestly, looking at Game 6 and just watching the series overall, and by the way, just so y'all know, I picked the Pacers in 6. I finally got a prediction right. It has been a rough playoffs for me when it comes to my predictions. I had the Wolves beating the Thunder. We know how that ended up in the Western Conference Finals. But I got this one right. I had Pacers in 6 from the start. And just watching this series in general, I felt like the Pacers are slightly better than the Knicks. And the thing about the Pacers is their overwhelming pace was the difference in this series. And coming into this series, we talked about which team could dictate tempo and play at their pace. The Knicks want to play at a slower pace. They want to play at a slow tempo and have Jalen Brunson bringing the game home for them in the fourth quarter in clutch time. The Pacers want to play at a fast, up-tempo pace and get out in transition and score in the open court. And that's exactly what they did in this series. The Pacers' overwhelming pace, to me, overwhelmed the Knicks, and that was the biggest difference in this series. Here are some advantages for the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals over the Knicks. The Pacers are plus 93 in bench points. The Pacers were a plus 58 in fast break points. And in points off turnovers, the Pacers were a plus 79 over the Knicks. And in assists for the entire series, the Pacers were a plus 35 over the Knicks. And so I believe those are the biggest reasons why the Pacers beat the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Points off turnovers, assists with Haliburton, fast break points, and bench points. Those were the keys in the series. Bench points, points off turnovers, assists, and fast break points. That's why the Pacers beat the Knicks. And so for me, I think the Pacers are just a better team than the Knicks. Last year, the Pacers beat the Knicks in 7. In Game 7, Brunson and OG Anunoby both were injured in that game. But in this series, both teams were healthy. The Knicks had a great series from Karl-Anthony Towns. I thought Cat played great in the Eastern Conference Finals. I really felt like Cat played one of his best playoff series. Remember in Game 3, the Knicks overcame a 20-point deficit. And in the fourth quarter, Cat had his highest point total in his career in a playoff game in a fourth quarter. I thought Cat played well in the conference finals. I thought he was a consistent number 2 option for the Knicks. And the Knicks obviously got tremendous contributions from Brunson. Besides Game 6, I thought Brunson played well for the most part throughout the series. I just think the Pacers were a little bit too much for the Knicks. And the Pacers, they go 8, 9 deep. And even though Tom Thibodeau played some of his bench in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Pacers were still a plus 93 in bench points. So that was a major factor for the Pacers. Players like Mathurin, Obi Toppin, Thomas Bryant off the bench, they were key contributors for the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. And so for me, I feel like the Knicks overall this season, the Knicks overachieved. Like, I believe if you are a Knicks fan, you feel great about the season because we didn't expect the Knicks to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Coming into the playoffs, we all expected the Eastern Conference Finals to be the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers. And it was the New York Knicks and Indiana Pacers. So if you are a Knicks fan, you have to be happy about the season. The Knicks overachieved this year. Seriously, I didn't expect the Knicks to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Somebody let me know in the comments. How far did y'all expect the Knicks to go in the NBA playoffs this year? I thought they could have gotten beat by the Detroit Pistons. And they beat the Pistons in the first round. I didn't have the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. And honestly, even though the Knicks lost in the conference finals, the Knicks gained my respect. The Knicks gained my respect in the Eastern Conference Finals this year. And they played well throughout the entire NBA playoffs. They played hard. They overcame 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 20-point deficits in the playoffs this year and won those games. Games 1 and Games 2 against the Boston Celtics in the conference semifinals, and in Game 3 in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Pacers, the Knicks overcame 3 20-point deficits. and they are a mentally tough basketball team. That's the one thing that you cannot question when it comes to the New York Knicks. You cannot question their mental toughness, because this is the thing, and I said this coming into the conference finals. The Knicks are not as talented as the Indiana Pacers are. The Knicks are not as talented as the Boston Celtics are. The Knicks are not as talented as the OKC Thunder are. The Knicks are not as talented as the Minnesota Timberwolves are. But the Knicks play hard, and they are a mentally tough basketball team. They never give up, and they play tough, hard-nosed basketball all game long. And that's the biggest reason why they were in the conference finals. And so I felt like the Knicks overachieved. I never felt like the Knicks were true championship contenders. I felt like they were playoff contenders, but I never really felt like they were true championship contenders. And they were 2 games within the NBA Finals. So they really overachieved. And honestly, I thought the Knicks, their championship was beating the Boston Celtics. Let's be real. Their championship was beating the Boston Celtics. So on one hand, yes, the Knicks earned my respect, and they overachieved this year. And I know they are a mentally tough basketball team, and they play hard. But on the other hand, do I believe, as currently constructed, that this Knicks team can win an NBA championship? I don't believe that's the case. I believe that the Knicks, they have reached their ceiling. I know this is the first year with Brunson and Cat as your dynamic duo, but they have to improve if they want to be true NBA championship contenders. They got to improve, to me. I think they got to get better from a bench standpoint, and we need to see OG Anunoby elevate his game. I thought OG played decent in the Eastern Conference Finals, but I believe that the Knicks, in order for them to be true championship contenders, they're going to have to improve with their bench, because that was the biggest difference in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Pacers bench outscored the Knicks bench in the Eastern Conference Finals with a plus 93 advantage. So I think the Knicks got to get better from a bench standpoint and add more players who can contribute in their rotation. I want to give a big shout out to Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau did a great job and adding players to his rotation in the conference finals. We know Tom Thibodeau does not like to play a lot of players. He likes to play his starters extended minutes in the playoffs and doesn't really give his bench players a lot of minutes. But in the conference finals, Tibbs uncharacteristically played some of his bench players extended minutes. But this is all about the Indiana Pacers and Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle is a proven NBA head coach. I believe he's a good NBA head coach. I'm not going to say great yet. If he wins an NBA championship, I believe Rick Carlisle would be a great head coach by the end of the year. But Rick Carlisle, Tyrese Haliburton, Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner, Naismith, Nembhard, I want to give a big shout out to the Indiana Pacers. This is their first NBA Finals appearance in 25 years. And this is a Pacers team that's been trying to get over the hump the last few years. Last year, they got swept in the conference finals by the Boston Celtics. But those games were very, very competitive. Those were competitive games against the Boston Celtics last year in the conference finals. And the Pacers, they have been a small market team. And for them to get back to the NBA Finals, and honestly, I don't really feel like the Pacers have a true superstar. Yes, Tyrese Haliburton is a star. I don't believe he's a superstar quite yet, but he is a star. Pascal Siakam, he has moments where he plays at a star level. He's never been a superstar. When Pascal Siakam won his NBA championship, back in Toronto, that was Kawhi Leonard's basketball team. Kawhi was the superstar. So Siakam, he's never been a superstar. He's had moments where he's a star. I don't think that Pascal Siakam is a consistent NBA star either. Like when I think superstars and stars are different. I think we throw around this superstar word too much for me. Like I think we honestly label too many players superstars who are not true superstars. I honestly only feel like there's really three superstars right now in the NBA, and that's Giannis, the Joker, and I still believe Steph is a superstar. I do. I do not ever count out Steph Curry. I think Steph Curry is still a superstar. LeBron obviously was a superstar in prior years. Same with Kevin Durant. But I believe there's only one or two or maybe even three superstars, depending on how y'all view Steph Curry. But Giannis and Joker are true superstars. And the thing is, I feel like Pascal Siakam, he has star moments. Like there are nights where I watch games and I think that Pascal Siakam is on the same level as a Donovan Mitchell, as a Jason Tatum, as a Ja Morant, or even an Anthony Edwards. Pascal Siakam has games where he plays at a star level. Now, some nights he's inconsistent and he doesn't play at that elite level like other stars play at from a consistent standpoint. But Pascal Siakam has his moments where he plays really, really good basketball and can be a star. But the Pacers, they don't really have a true superstar like OKC has in SGA. And so I like how the Pacers play with that fast, up-tempo pace, and they go 8 or 9 deep. But they're starting five with Haliburton, Nembhard, Neesmith, Siakam, and Miles Turner. That's a solid starting five. That's a solid starting five. No, there's no superstar, but they have a star in Tyrese Haliburton, and they have
right here. We're gonna go ahead and set it up in my bed. Okay, we don't need the opportunity.
My bad, y'all. But let's talk about Indiana Pacers real quick. Um, Big shout out to the Indiana Pacers. It's their first NBA Finals appearance in 25 years. And like I was saying about the Pacers, they don't really have a true superstar, but they do have a star in Tyrese Haliburton. And I thought Tyrese Haliburton had one of his best playoffs series of his career. And I said this after the Pacers won Game 4. Whoever the hell said that Tyrese Haliburton is overrated, they need to be exposed. This is the one thing I hate about sports, when you get these quotes from these players or coaches or people in these organizations for these particular teams in whatever sport. I hate when we have these quotes or these polls that come out and they're anonymous. I don't like it one bit. I want you to put an address to whatever comments that you have, put your name on it, and stand 10 toes behind how you feel about a particular player. Because whoever the hell that said Tyrese Haliburton is the most overrated star, they should be exposed. And honestly, the New York Knicks, they can go and thank whoever the hell said that Tyrese Haliburton is the most overrated star in the NBA. Go thank them for why you lost the Eastern Conference Finals, Knicks. Because I thought Tyrese Haliburton played brilliant in the Eastern Conference Finals, and he was sensational from a playmaking standpoint, and he is the quarterback of this Pacers elite offense. Don't get me wrong. They have a nice team that can put up points with Pascal Siakam, with Miles Turner, with Aaron Nesmith, and Obi Toppin off the bench, and Benedict Mathurin off the bench, and TJ McConnell off the bench. But Tyrese Haliburton is the straw that stirs the drink. He is the engine for this Indiana Pacers basketball team from an offensive standpoint, and they are not in the NBA Finals if it were not for Tyrese Haliburton. So I feel like we got to start including Tyrese Haliburton in those conversations for not only just top 10 players in the NBA, but definitely top 5 point guard conversations. I think Tyrese Haliburton deserves to be in that top 5 point guard conversation now. Like, thinking about point guards in the NBA, obviously Steph Curry and Ja Morant. I'm not saying that Tyrese Haliburton deserves to be on that level yet. I haven't. This is the thing about Ja Morant. I love Morant. We know Ja Morant is a proven star in the NBA. But for the last few years, Ja Morant has been injury prone and hasn't played much. But I'm not ready to say Haliburton is better than Morant yet. But I believe that when you think about point guards like De'Aaron Fox, I probably would take Tyrese Haliburton over De'Aaron Fox right now. I would. Now that we know De'Aaron Fox has tremendous upside, but right now I probably would take Haliburton over De'Aaron Fox. And what's crazy is, at one point, the Sacramento Kings had De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Haliburton on their roster. That's just crazy to think about. That's crazy. But seriously, I think we got to start putting more respect on Tyrese Haliburton's name and give him his credit. Give him his credit for sure. But a big shout out to the city of Indianapolis, They were turned last night at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. And man, another thing too, last night, not only did the Eastern Conference Finals end, the NBA on TNT tenure with Ernie, Charles, Kenny, and Shaq ended as well. So we are sad to see NBA on TNT go, but Ernie, Shaq, Charles, and Kenny are transitioning to ESPN. So they're still going to be on ESPN. Definitely happy about that. But it is a end of an era with NBA on TNT. But man, the city of Indianapolis was turned last night. And I know Spike Lee, Ben Stiller, Fat Joe, 50 Cent, Carmelo Anthony, J.R. Smith, Amari Stoudemire, I know they are highly, highly disappointed on this Sunday, June the 1st. But like I said earlier, if you are a Knicks fan, you got to be happy about the outcome this season because your New York Knicks overachieved. And I didn't have them in the conference finals, and they reached the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. They were 2 wins away from an NBA Finals appearance. But the Knicks do have something to build around in Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. They really, really do. And Tom Thibodeau, I believe he is a proven NBA head coach. And I thought he, from a coaching standpoint, he did a pretty solid job in the playoffs this year. He really, really did. But again, man, a great conference finals between the Pacers and the Knicks. Pacers beat the Knicks in game 6, 125-108. But this rivalry, I feel like it was relived again for us this year. But Pacers were just a little bit too much for the Knicks. And the biggest reasons why the Pacers beat the Knicks in the conference finals, 4 reasons. Bench points, fast break points, assists, and points off turnovers. And I'm going to give y'all these stats before I get out of here. The Pacers were a plus 93 in bench points over the Knicks. The Pacers were a plus 58 in fast break points over the Knicks. The Pacers were a plus 79 in points off turnovers over the Knicks. And the Pacers were a plus 35 in assists over the Knicks as well. And that's why they beat the Knicks in this best-of-7 series. Now, the thing about the NBA Finals, the OKC Thunder are overwhelming favorites over the Indiana Pacers. And I'm going to preview the NBA Finals tomorrow night at Park Place on the Not Boxed In podcast with myself and Melvin Levitt, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. We will preview the NBA Finals matchup between the Thunder and the Pacers. But looking at the betting lines, the Thunder are overwhelming favorites over the Pacers. These are 2 small market teams in the NBA Finals. Both teams play completely different styles. The Pacers want to get up the floor and play at a fast, up-tempo pace. And they also give up a lot of points defensively, but they score a lot of points. OKC, they are great offensively and defensively, but they are superb from a defensive standpoint. I think OKC is a better defensive team than offensive team, and that could be the difference in the NBA Finals because the Thunder, they get stops. The Pacers do not get stops. You can score 120 against the Indiana Pacers. It is hard to score 120 against OKC. I think the Thunder, they are one of the best defensive teams in NBA history. Now, the thing about OKC is everybody been talking about how if OKC finishes the deal and they beat the Pacers, everybody's talking about how OKC should be recognized as an all-time team, like a top 5 team all time. And that is absolutely ridiculous. Now, OKC is a great defensive team, but I don't consider OKC a great all-time team. So I've been seeing people keep talking about like, oh man, if OKC can win the NBA Finals, they should be considered an all-time great team. Stop. Stop. Please. Please. OKC has had a tremendous season led by SGA. They have a good NBA head coach in Mark Daigneault. Jalen Williams has emerged as a consistent number 2 option. And Chet Holmgren has also played very, very well for the OKC Thunder during this playoff run. And I believe so far in these NBA playoffs, the Thunder are 12-4. They're 12-4. They lost 3 against the Denver Nuggets in the conference semifinals. The Timberwolves beat the Thunder in game 3, and the Thunder obviously swept the Grizzlies in round 1. So they are 12-4 in these NBA playoffs, and they had a great regular season. The Thunder were the number 1 overall seed, not only in the Western Conference, but in the entire NBA. But to say that the Thunder are a great all-time team and that the Thunder are better than they were when they had KD, Russ, and Harden, that's a reach for me. That is a reach for me. Maybe you can say they are a better team, but from a talent standpoint, this year's OKC Thunder, they are not better than they were with Russ, KD, and Harden. And they're not a all-time great NBA team. Like this Thunder team, they've had a tremendous season, but they are not a top 5 team all time. I've seen some people say that if the Thunder win the NBA Finals, that they should be considered a top 5 team all time. And that is ridiculous. The Thunder, they are not better than Magic and Kareem's Lakers. They are not better than Jordan's Bulls in the 90s. They are not better than Kobe and Shaq's Lakers in the early 2000s. They are not better than Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker's Spurs. They are not better than LeBron's Miami Heat with D-Wade and Chris Bosh. They're not better than the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. They're not better than the Golden State Warriors with Steph and Clay. Pre-KD. This Thunder team is not better than the Warriors when they won the NBA championship in 2015 with Steph, Clay, Iggy, Draymond Green. They're not better than that Warriors team. Hell, I don't even believe that the Thunder are better than the Boston Celtics from last year. I keep telling everybody, the 2024 Boston Celtics against the 2025 OKC Thunder, I believe the Celtics would beat the Thunder in 6 games because they have Jaylen Brown. And I think they have a more consistent dynamic duo with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown than the Thunder have with SGA and Jalen Williams. Yes, the Thunder beat the Celtics when they went up against each other this year in the regular season. But I still believe that the Celtics would have been a tougher matchup for the Thunder in the NBA Finals than the Pacers are. I'm going to say it again. I believe that if the Celtics were healthy, they would have been a tougher matchup in the NBA Finals than the Indiana Pacers. But it won't matter because the Celtics flamed out in the conference semifinals against the Knicks. But I'm just making the point that OKC, they are not considered an all-time great team in my eyes. They are having a great season. But to say that they are a great all-time team, that's insane to me. That's insane. But I do respect OKC. Jalen Williams has definitely elevated his game, and he has proven to be a solid number 2 option. Chet Holmgren has been a solid 3rd option for OKC. That trio of SGA, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren, they have been great for OKC in the playoffs this year. But to say that they are an all-time great team, that's a reach for me. That's definitely a reach. Give me y'all thoughts, though, because I still got more I want to talk about with the NBA Finals. I'm going to talk about a lot of this stuff tomorrow with Melvin on the Not Boxed In podcast. But to say that they are a great, I think OKC, they're not a great all-time team to me, but they are a great all-time team from a defensive standpoint. That's why Anthony Edwards was so frustrated in the Western Conference Finals, because from a defensive standpoint, defensively, the Thunder, they defend like piranhas. They defend like piranhas. Jalen Williams, Alex Caruso, Lou Dort. Lou Dort built like a linebacker. Lou Dort and Wallace off the bench. Chet Holmgren as a rim protector. Hartenstein as well. They defend at a very, very elite level. But to say that they are an all-time great team, that's a reach. That's a reach. But yeah, man, NBA Finals is gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. I'll give my prediction tomorrow night on the Not Boxed In podcast with Melvin Levitt. But give me y'all thoughts though. Give me y'all predictions on the NBA Finals. Who y'all got and how many games? I think that the Thunder, they are the overwhelming favorites. They deserve to be the overwhelming favorites heading into the NBA Finals. But I do believe the Pacers, they got a shot. I give them a shot. I don't think they're going to beat the Thunder, but I give them a shot. I give them a shot. And if I had to say right now, I probably would say the Thunder in 5 over the Pacers. Seriously, in 5, because the Thunder play so great defensively. I'm going to give the Pacers at least one game. I can't see the Thunder sweeping the Pacers, but I do believe the Thunder have the better overall team. And both teams are really, really good offensively. But the difference is defense. The Thunder play better defense than the Pacers do. And I believe that obviously they have the best player in the series in SGA. And so usually when you have the best player, usually you have the advantage in the NBA playoffs. And so I'll just let y'all know now, I believe that the OKC Thunder will beat the Indiana Pacers in 5 games. But I do hope the Pacers can push the NBA Finals to a 6 or 7 game series. Seriously. And by the way, another thing I want to say too, now that we're heading into the NBA Finals, I think as NBA fans, because there are so many games, so much load managing throughout the regular season, so many players who take nights off, and we have games where we have elite teams facing off against one another and stars sit out in those particular games. I think we as NBA fans, we get frustrated during the regular season. Seriously, like from October to March, as an NBA fan, we are frustrated and upset with the NBA. But once the NBA playoffs roll around and April and May is here, as an NBA fan, I'm satisfied. I am satisfied. The NBA is in it for the long run. Like, I do believe that Adam Silver and the NBA, they should cut back on their games, 82 games. I think they should go down to 65 games. But I think from October to March in the regular season, it can be frustrating watching the NBA as a fan because we have so many players load managing, stars sitting out in key marquee matchups. And obviously we're not having as many athletic dunks now in today's NBA. It's a lot more perimeter shooting. And so as an NBA fan, you can get bored with the product. But we got to give Adam Silver and the NBA credit from this standpoint. Once the NBA playoffs roll around in April, we are entertained. We are entertained from April all the way until the end of the NBA Finals in June. So the NBA in the regular season, as an NBA fan, it can be frustrating to watch. But at the end of the season, after we watch the NBA playoffs, it's entertaining and we enjoy it. We enjoy it. And we be like, man, If the NBA can get this all year round, they will be doing something. They will be up to something, seriously. But I think it's too many games. I think it's too many games. 82 regular games in the regular season, that's a lot of games. But, man, I was thinking that last night after the Eastern Conference Finals. I was thinking, like, man, we've had some really, really good playoff series between the Denver Nuggets and the OKC Thunder, between the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks, between the Detroit Pistons and the New York Knicks in the first round, and then the Knicks and the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. We have had some great, great series in these NBA playoffs. Oh, don't forget about Nuggets Clippers in the first round as well. That was a 7-game series, too. So I got to give Adam Silver and the NBA credit, because the NBA playoffs, even in 2025, they are still very, very entertaining. And I may not be entertained in the regular season, and I may be bored in the regular season. Thank God for the NFL. Thank God for the NFL, because I'll tell y'all right now, I watched the NBA regular season, honestly, in February. That's when I really, really start watching the NBA, in February, once the Super Bowl ends and the NFL season ends. But from October to February, I watch way more NFL, obviously, than I watch NBA. And I'm pretty sure all of you do as well. But the NBA playoffs are still entertaining. But don't forget, go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter and Wise Guys on all social media platforms. And don't forget, starting tomorrow night, it's the Not Boxed In podcast with myself and Melvin Levitt. That's Cincinnati Bearcats legend, Melvin Levitt. Starting tomorrow night, we will be at Park Place in Forest Park, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The Not Boxed In podcast with myself and Melvin Levitt, Cincinnati Bearcats legend. We'll be discussing all the latest in sports. That's tomorrow night at Park Place. And I think it's 65-cent wing night at Park Place as well in Forest Park. 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The Not Boxed In podcast, each and every Monday, discussing the latest in sports news. I'll be on tomorrow with Melvin discussing the NBA Finals, discussing a lot of Cincinnati Bearcats news as well. But I'm Trey Larkins signing off. Y'all enjoy y'all Sunday evening. It's nice out. Get them kids outside. It's Sunday, June the 1st. It's officially summer. I feel like the summer really don't start until June. It's starting to get warm out, y'all. Enjoy y'all Sunday evening. Peace.